So, hello everyone. We're going to do our Christmas countdown calendar, and this is going to be part one. And in part one, we're going to make the wall and the snowman standing behind it. Now, the switch plate cover is just to give you an idea of the size of the wall, but we're going to make it a little bit smaller. You can make it that size if you want. You can make this project any size you want. You can make it bigger, you can make it larger, but I wouldn't make it too large. So here I'm just showing you the dimensions of the cover. And what I've used for my base is Super Sculpey mixed with some scrap Sculpey 3 I had. And you can really use any scrap clay that you want to use. And now what I tried to roll it out by hand, but it's just, you're making it too thick. It's not really possible. If you have to, you have to, but I did put it through my pasta machine. And I rolled out some sheets on the largest setting, and then I just layered the sheets, and I rolled over them with the brayer so that they would stick together. And I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. This is a fun project. While I'm ahead of myself, I'm just going to tell you we're going to do this in stages, and we're going to have freestanding pieces. We're not going to do it all as one stuck together piece. And if we do it as freestanding pieces, then you can do it any way you want. You can display them any way you want, and you can make whatever you want. If you don't want to do some pieces, don't do them. And here I've rolled out the mixture of the Sculpey, Super Sculpey and Sculpey 3 white, and I'm just going to layer them. You don't have to worry about the ragged edges because you're going to be trimming it. Now I'm using that just to kind of give myself an idea of where I want to put the wall and about how wide the wall will be, but it will not be that wide. Now trim around the edges, and don't make it straight, just, make it a little curvy because this is supposed to be a mound of snow that the wall is on. So you don't want it to look perfect. You want it to look like a bunch of snow piled up. And another thing that we're going to do on this, you don't have to do this, but I did put my name on the bottom and the year. I just used the needle tool to write my name, and you'll see me doing this. I decided to do this project for November because this way you will have it ready for December 1st. You can make the base as thick as you want, but I don't recommend making it more than a third of an inch thick. That even to me would be kind of thick, but you don't want it too thick. And with the Super Sculpey mixed in with the Sculpey 3, and it's mostly Super Sculpey. Super Sculpey is very strong. Sculpey 3 is not. I use Sculpey 3 because it's easy on my hands, and I've always said that. And just use whatever clay you want. And also, another thing I want to say is I did not tell you at the beginning the tools and the clay, but pretty much you already know by now. And I didn't say the colors because you might want to do different colors for the snowman, for his scarf or his hat or whatever. So, you pick and choose the colors that you want. You don't have to go exactly by what I do. And I also want to say that don't think that because yours doesn't look exactly like mine that you aren't doing it right. Everyone's hands are different in the way you produce things, the way you create things, and no one's items will ever look exactly the same. Now here I'm putting the base, the white, I'm covering the base with a sheet of white. I'm trimming it, and then you just want to press it down over the sides because you want your base to be all white. You don't want any of the scrap clay showing. And like I said, you don't have to make it perfectly straight. This is a pile of snow. Doesn't have to have straight edges. So I'm not going to tell you everything we're going to do for the scene, but I think you're going to like it. At least I hope you will like it. I think it's going to be quite a bit of fun. I did one of these, can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but all the pieces, it was basically 3 snowmen, and they were all with trees. They were all pressed together and baked as one unit. But I think this one's going to be fun because you can arrange things and you can even add on in coming years if you want. See, I'm putting the year. You don't have to do this. I just thought this would be a fun addition. This is the bottom of the base. Another thing I noticed when I did this, I forgot to trim my fingernails. I don't know how some people can work with the clay and come up with beautiful results and have inch-long nails. I just can't do it. So I do need to trim my nails before I do the next part. Oh, that noise you heard was me taking a sip of water. There. And you can even put the whole family's names on there. Put whatever you want. So now we have our base. See, I'm pressing everything down. Just want it to look snowy. I'm just going to make an outline where I want the wall to be. And this is too big, so I don't want it to be that big. But like I said, you can make yours that big if you want. I don't know why the video is going so slowly, but I guess you'll hear me talking a little more. I see, I don't want it, I want mine to be 3.5 inches wide, which I think is plenty. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's more than enough. Now, this is just from a little nail kit. It's from a manicure kit. I'm just gouging out the clay. I almost said a pedicure kit, which I guess it could be also. But I'm just gouging out a section to put the wall in. And what I'm going to do is I have some Sculpey liquid clay, but my liquid clay is no longer liquid. It's solidified. It's almost like glue. But I like to put it in there to give it a good bond. You don't really need it. If you don't have it, you don't really need it. But I just added it just for a little extra protection. Now here I'm building my wall. I'm just making it solid white clay. You could make a wall out of scrap clay and then cover it with a sheet of white, but I'm just using solid white and just kind of make a rectangle. Now you can fast forward through this section, but you see how you build it? You just kind of keep rolling and rolling until you get those nice surfaces. And you do want them to be nice and flat. You don't want them to be too messy. And we want this to look like a wall of not concrete blocks, but think more of an igloo. You want them to be ice blocks or snow blocks. I see the difference in the switch plate. Switch plate. I cannot talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Here we go. Now, put your wall in, make sure it fits. Now I've got it's the translucent Sculpey liquid, which isn't really liquid. But I'm just going to put it in that hole I made. This stuff is really great if you want to add things on, like on my steampunk ornaments. When I put the gears on, you get the translucent liquid Sculpey, and after it's baked, you don't see it. That it acts like glue, but it really disappears after it's baked. It's really pretty good. So Now you see I'm just kind of pressing the base and the wall together. We have to blend the two. But I'm also going to roll a long white snake and place it around the base and then just blend it in to the base and the wall. And remember, it's supposed to look like snow has built up on the wall, so it's not going to look silly or anything. But it's going to keep that wall standing up. Like I said, fast forward through this if you don't want to see me doing this. Now do it around the front and attach them at the back because you don't want a seam in the front. Although you're blending it, so it wouldn't really matter. I need to find a different camera angle when I'm doing figurines. It's really not that great looking straight down. I think really the best thing to do with this is to use your fingers. I probably should have edited most of this out because I know you're probably bored. But like I said, just fast forward. And remember, if you don't want to listen to me talk, turn the sound off. I just felt with the bigger projects, I wanted to talk you through it. I know a lot of the smaller ornaments that we do that don't take too long, you don't really need me talking. There you are. The next thing we'll be doing is making our lines for our blocks. Now this is a sock filled with rice, and I use it to prop up things. And you, you probably saw me use it in the Krampus ornament. Now this is going to have 3 rows of blocks. Now remember, when you do this, that we want to write days till Christmas on the top 2 lines. So try to mark your blocks off the way I'm doing it. I'll explain that in a minute. You don't really have to do the back, but it's nice to have it. I was going to do days till Christmas on 3 rows, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to do days in that middle block on the top. And you kind of want to have it in the middle. So we'll write days on there. And then I want a little bit larger block on the second row where we will write Christmas. And in that block, before you write the Christmas, we're just going to do in smaller letters till with an apostrophe. You know the shortened version of until, but it'll be a TIL. And that is why I made the blocks that way. This is the back. And there you have your wall. Now, the first snowman we're going to do, he will be part of this piece. You won't be able to move him. He is basically stuck there. So we are going to press him up against the wall, and he can't be moved from there. But all the other pieces we'll be doing, you can move. Will be freestanding. Now you notice I put a sheet of wax paper on my work surface. I had a black sheet of paper there, and when I was rolling the clay on it, it was picking up all these little bits of black, which is why I had scrap white clay. So I try to do the work surface so you can see it better. Now we're going to make a long candy cane rope, and this is going to be a garland for the front of the wall. And remember, we've been working with light colors now. We're going to do the red. So when you're done using the red and rolling out your red rope, make sure you wash your hands. I have found that if I mix red or any colors with some Super Sculpey, that the color does not come off your hands as much. And for me, red and black are the worst for having the color come off on my hands. Again, fast forward if you want to. You don't need to watch me rolling this. I'm pretty sure by now you know how to roll a candy cane rope. I guess I must have been asleep at the wheel when I was editing this one. And now you notice that I cut that in half and put the other piece aside. You want to save that for later. Just keep rolling it until it's as long as you want it. Mine is going to go all the way down to the bottom of the wall. You don't have to make it go down all the way to the bottom of the wall, but you want to make sure that it goes all the way across and down the sides, at least a little. Now you notice that as I'm rolling it longer and thinner, I do keep twisting it because when you roll it longer and thinner, it'll stretch out. You don't want the colors to stretch out too much. So now we are ready. Make sure you press it on really well. And now I made a little bit of a mistake here. I brought it down over the block where we're going to write days. So I did fix that. You don't want your garland hanging over that middle block like I have. You see? Now you see I need to fix that because where will I write my days? Yes. Yeah. Thankfully I noticed it before I baked it. So you want to make sure that your blocks are not covered. I'm just blending it into the wall. It's always good to make sure things are blended together. Now we're going to get ready to do the snowman, and I'm going to press out a little space in the snow where I will place him, because we want to make sure he doesn't fall over or anything, but we will be pressing him onto the wall. But this is where we will place him. I am using all solid white clay for my snowman. You can make the inside of your snowman with an armature of foil, aluminum foil, and cover that with the white. And I am not going to be doing that here. I'm just making him a solid white snowman. And basically my snowman is going to be a tapered triangle, as you can see. I have to make sure he's tall enough. Now I'm making arms. No, I'm not making arms. I'm making more snow to put around the base of the snowman, just like we did with the wall. And just press it on, blend it together. He's been standing there all day, and the snow has been coming down and covering him. So last year, the one I made, I gave to my nephew and his family. They just had a new baby this year, baby number 4. And I am going to make 2 of these this year, and one will be for my niece in Virginia who has a 1-year-old, and the other one will be for my other niece here in South Carolina who has a 2-year-old. And I think the kids will enjoy counting down for Christmas. Now, when you place his arms on the top of the wall, remember he is going to be having those 2 blocks in front of him with the numbers on it, the countdown numbers. So make sure you put his arms far enough apart on the wall, because you need that place in the middle to put those blocks with the countdown numbers. There we go. Now our snowman is going to have a neck, a head, and a hat. And so I decided to put a toothpick down the middle to hold those on. Now, at first I thought this toothpick was too long, so I cut it in half. And I put the neck on, and then I realized my toothpick was too short after I cut it. And I know snowmen don't have necks, but I want I want to put the scarf on him, and I think it just looks nicer with a neck. If he has a neck, the scarf just sits better underneath his head. And you can do it without a neck, you know. Feel free to change this any way you want. Put your own stamp on it, as they say. Of course, a round white ball for the head. And you see we still have some of the toothpicks sticking out. That's because he's going to get a hat. Now I made his scarf white and blue. You can make it green, red, black, any color you want. You can make his hat and the scarf any color you want at all. I had even thought about putting gloves on his hands, which you can also do that. There's really quite a bit you could do with the snowman. You could put a vest on him, and instead of the top hat, you could put a knitted hat. You could put a Santa hat on him. Just use your imagination. I'm just twisting these colors together. It's not going to be like a candy cane. It's just twisting the colors together. Just a random pattern for his scarf. Now you could also do the countdown calendar in pastel colors if you like. Pinks, baby blues, mint green would be cute. If you love a certain college, you can do your snowmen in the college colors. Maybe put a sweater on him with the letter. There's a lot you can do. Scarf didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. I still like it. I kind of like that tie-dye look. And I'm just trimming a little off to straighten it out a little. Not necessary, but if you want to, you know. Oh, and I did not realize I was way off on camera with that. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the way I like to do the scarf is just do it all the way around the neck and then add the other pieces on. Now to make the hat, just roll out some black into a little fat log and press it on. And you can make it a little lopsided like I have. You don't have to, but I kind of like that look. And this will be for the brim of the hat. Just pinch it flat to make a brim. Then press it on. I use the end of the paintbrush to press it on, to blend it together. And it's okay if your hat looks a little rumpled. I'm trying to make mine look a little rumpled because, the snowman always finds the hat flying around in the road somewhere, so it's going to look like it's been out in the dirt and the rain, and so it's going to look a little crumpled and old. That's okay. You don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I wanted to do it. It's going to be the hat band. And again, you can make it green, but I'm going to be putting two holly leaves and a holly berry on there, so I made mine red. And always try to do the seams in the back. Now we're going to make some green teardrop shapes for our holly leaves. I don't know, I always like to either add a star or holly to my ornaments and to everything I do. I think it's just a nice little touch. So we will be adding the holly leaves and berries to the garland and to the brim of his hat. He's starting to take shape. Oops. I sometimes go a little overboard with the holly. So put on as many or as little as you want. Remember, this is your countdown calendar. So do it the way you want. I want to tell you one more thing about the sock that he's lying on. It's filled with rice. I have a bag of rice in there. And I heat it up in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes to get it nice and warm, not too hot, because sometimes when I'm working with the clay and it's it just doesn't want to get conditioned, I'll just sit it on the hot bag of rice to let it warm up a little bit. And then it makes the clay it softens up the clay to make it a little more pliable. Now I'm going to be leaving the leaves. Now I will leave the leaves the way they are on the garland, but for the hat I'm going to give it a little more, give them a little more texture. And you can do them the way you like. Now we're going to add the red balls. I'm just doing a little touch up here. Make sure everything's looking good. Now I'm going to add a pile of snowballs at the bottom of the wall. And remember, when you add snowballs, make sure you don't cover up the blocks where you will be writing. And the snowballs, of course, can be all different sizes. You don't want them all to be the same size. Just add it on. I'm just putting them on the one side of the wall. See? And don't go above the first row. Remember, the top 2 rows are where you will be writing. And the next thing we'll be doing is his face. First, we're going to give him earmuffs. Sorry, but we're going to be working on his face. I just make 2 green balls and press them flat onto the sides of his head. And he's wearing earmuffs because the poor snowman is oh so cold. There we go. And remember, if you ever have any questions or you're having problems with the website, please be sure to email me. Next, we're going to do his mouth and his nose, and I will be painting his eyes on. You could use seed beads for the eyes, but I'm not really big on those. I prefer just to either do them out of clay or paint them on. I'll be painting them on for him. Oh, a little too big. And you could do his nose like a carrot. I just like the little round nose myself. You can also make his nose black. I just like the little orange nose. Although I'm giving him kind of a big nose. Use the needle tool to make the mouth. You can also paint the mouth on if you prefer. And of course, a little blush to make his cheeks red. I'm making some buttons. Just going to give him some buttons going down the front of his chest. And the last thing will be the blush. And then he will be going into the oven. And remember, bake him according to the instructions on your package of clay. I wanted to make some paw prints in the snow, and they just didn't look right. But you know, if you want to do that, that'd be a cute idea. They just didn't look good. At least not the ones I made. Just didn't look right to me. I may do that in one of the other pieces. I made an ornament a few years ago for my niece. She wanted an ornament with her 2 dogs and a snowman, and she wanted the dogs to be peeing on the snowman. And it came out kind of cute. I know I have the picture somewhere. I'll have to put it on the Facebook page. Now a little blush. And our guy is ready to go into the oven. So that's the end of part one. Hope you enjoyed it. Get ready for part two, coming soon.